few years ago, I created a video on the complete Wings of Fire timeline. Since then, there have been 3 or so books released. Those books have expanded a lot upon the timeline. The event most changed by the updates is the Scorching, the mysterious beginning of dragon history. Because there have been so many changes, I decided to make a new timeline video featuring new information and new artwork. I hope you'll enjoy. But before we get started, if you would like Wings of Fire or Warrior Cats, please subscribe to this channel. I make Wings of Fire and Warrior Cats content pretty often, and your support means a lot to me. And without further ado, let's jump into the updated Wings of Fire timeline. Before the event that would become known as the Scorching, humans lived in cities which sprawled out in valleys and across the earth. They had complicated clothing and lived complex lives. They did not concern themselves with predation from dragons, as dragons tended to live isolated lives. There were 3 empires: the Diamond Empire, the Jaguar Empire, and one of unknown name. Each empire had an emperor, and they all lived on the continent of Peria. Dragons lived in isolation and no tribes existed. The dragons focused on their own hordes and rarely cooperated with one another. They were more powerful than the humans, but as they were fractured, the humans outnumbered them and overpowered them. Cottonmouth was the advisor to his emperor. His emperor gave him approval for a radical plan, to capture dragon eggs so that they could raise the hatchlings as weapons. The other empires took notice of Cottonmouth's plan and began to steal dragons' eggs as well. Soon the dragons began to talk to each other about how their eggs were being stolen. They realized that they needed to work together to stop the humans from stealing any more eggs. Even though the humans had taken dragon eggs for their programs, they had no idea of how to control the dragonettes. They tried everything they could to break them, even torture, but it never seemed to work. The dragons finally got together and started to burn the cities to the ground. When they were done, there were no empires anymore and there were no civilizations. Humans went into hiding for the next 5,000 years. Cottonmouth and dragon thieves from other empires evacuated their operations across the sea to Pantala. There, Cottonmouth discovered a plant that controlled the minds of insects and decided to try and use it to control dragons, despite the hesitations of his peers. He first tried to use the plants on humans and was successful, though he could only control them for a short amount of time. Finally, an egg hatched and Cottonmouth was ready to inject the dragonette. He was not careful enough in his procedures, and the plant consumed them both. Both Cottonmouth and the dragon he named Lizard no longer had bodies and now existed in the other mind's consciousness. All the humans on Pantala were taken over by the Other Mind Collective, which then moved onto the land itself, coming to swarm the entire continent. In the centuries that followed, queens vied for control as the tribes began to form. There was no peace on Peria as each tribe tried to stake their own claim on the land. Eventually, 9 tribes were formed: the Beetlewings, Leafwings, Seawings, Sandwings, Skywings, Icewings, Nightwings, Rainwings, and Mudwings. This is assumed as we know at least the Beetlewings and Leafwings existed, but I'm not too sure about the other tribes, so it's just, assuming. The Mudwings and Seawings, for instance, might be one tribe at this point, but who knows. Eventually, Peria became overpopulated with dragons. Because of that, the Beetlewings and Leafwings were either driven out or chose to leave Peria. Some Seawings and Rainwings also followed them over. When they got to the continent, they discovered it overgrown with the breath of evil and sinister wildlife. Through their determination, they were able to destroy the breath of evil and claim the continent as their own. Between the exile of the Leafwings and Beetlewings and the capture of Arctic, the Icewing tribe enjoyed the fruits of Animus gifts. The Icewings were the first tribe to gain Animus magic. They experienced the consequences of it as well, and created guidelines for animi dragons. In order to prevent their animi from going insane, they were limited to creating only 1 enchantment in their entire lives. The enchantment would be something valuable for the entire tribe and would be called a gift. Here are some notable gifts in the animi that created them. The gift of diplomacy was a gift created by Penguin. It was a series of 3 bracelets designed to let the wearer pass over the Great Ice Cliff. The wearer would also be kept warm in the Ice Kingdom. He designed a heated dome as well for them to stay in when they did not wear the bracelets. The gift of light was a gift made by Frostbite. Frostbite spent years away from the kingdom studying trees and eventually returned back to the Ice Kingdom. She carved a tree out of ice with her own claws and enchanted it to grow moon globes, which are spherical lights that can be used to see at night. Opal produced a gift of vision. Her queen was a paranoid and angry dragon who had requested a gift that would help her spy on her enemies. However, Opal refused and created the gift of vision, a ring which would provide visions to its wearer, helping them understand different perspectives and overall giving them a therapy session. The ring worked, and the queen was rehabilitated. Caribou created the gift of subsistence. The gift was 3 ice fishing holes enchanted to always produce seals. The gift appalled the nobles as it was meant for the lower classes and was seen as a waste. However, the lower classes were very grateful, and many ice wings are named after caribou even in the modern day. Queen Diamond's first gift to the tribe was the Gift of Healing. The Gift of Healing was a set of narwhal horns which would heal all frostbite injuries. Diamond would later regret spending her magic on the gift, wishing that she could have instead made the horns apply to all injuries, or that she did something else entirely. Another animus, Albatross, was born into the Sea Kingdom. Albatross appeared to be a pure sea wing, but there has been speculation that he had Icewing blood due to his pale appearance and magic. Albatross had 2 sisters, Sapphire and Lagoon. They often teased him about his strange scale color. In a fit of rage, he ordered a shell to bite all of Sapphire's claws off. To his shock and horror, it did just that, revealing him to be the first of the Sea Wing's animus dragons. Lagoon later became queen, and Albatross her animus. Albatross created a shell that glowed whenever someone lied while touching it, and created the slowly growing summer palace. He took a wife, however she died young, and after having 2 dragonettes with him. He never remarried, much to Lagoon's chagrin. Diamond had a son named Arctic. Arctic turned out to be an animus dragon as well. When he was 8 or so years old, the Nightwing sent a delegation of 4 dragons to meet them: Prudence, Starclaws, Discretion, and Foeslayer. Prudence was the mother of Foeslayer, and took her along on a hunch that she might be able to make Arctic fall in love with her and thus steal animus magic for their tribe from the Icewings. Arctic and Foeslayer did fall in love, even though Arctic was engaged to Snowflake. Snowflake sought comfort in Snowfox, and the 2 of them found a common interest in disposing of Arctic by assisting his elopement. However, the plan went terribly wrong. Arctic and Foeslayer ended up having to fight their way out of the palace. In the process, Snowflake was permanently injured by a spell used by Arctic, and Arctic accidentally killed several Icewings using spears, including his former teacher. Arctic and Foeslayer made it back to the Night Kingdom. The Icewings then declared war on the Nightwings because they stole their animus dragon. The brightest night is a night where all 3 Aperia's moons are full moons. A Nightwing that hatches under a brightest night has enhanced mind reading and future sight. Darkstalker, the child of Foeslayer and Arctic, was hatched on one such night. He also inherited his father's animus abilities, though his family would not know about them for years. Darkstalker was somehow conscious only moments after leaving his egg. He decided not to hatch his sister, Whiteout, because he felt like her having powers would be a threat to him. She was born several days later, and thus had faint future sight capabilities. Fathom, a Sea Wing, undertook the Talons of Power ceremony. The ceremony was designed by Albatross to find any animus dragons. In it, the dragonettes would enchant an object to do whatever he said, such as making a coconut float. Fathom was discovered to be an animus and fell under the tutelage of Albatross, his grandfather. Albatross let Fathom in on his projects, including the Summer Palace, which was still growing. The same year as Fathom's Talons of Power ceremony, Clearsight hatched. She hatched under one moon, making her a seer. She had the most powerful future vision seen before or since in the Nightwing tribe. Arctic received an offer from his estranged mother, Queen Diamond. If he killed his 2 dragonettes, he could freely return to the Ice Kingdom. Arctic did not kill his dragonettes, but he still decided to keep the letter from her hidden in case he changed his mind. The Sea Wings hosted a party and invited 2 dignitaries from the Sky Wings, including a princess. During the party, Queen Lagoon reminded Albatross of Sapphire's fate and held it over his head, saying that he would be hers forever. Albatross snapped and killed Queen Lagoon. He proceeded to kill everyone else at the party, including the Sea Wing dignitaries. He was only stopped when he went after Fathom and Indigo. Fathom killed Albatross, putting an end to the bloody events of the day. The events would later be known as the Royal Sea Wing Massacre. Queen Lagoon was dead, so Pearl, Fathom's sister, ascended to the throne. Fathom told Pearl that Indigo had killed Albatross, making her a hero to the kingdom. Fathom then swore in blood oath not to have dragonettes. Meanwhile, Clearsight finally decided to go to school after avoiding it for years due to visions of Darkstalker. The 2 of them meet for the first time. A short while later, the 2 discover Current, a survivor of the massacre. They escort Current to the Queen, who takes him in. After hearing of the devastation caused by animus magic and listening to Clearsight's worries, Darkstalker created his talisman. His talisman was a scroll which contained all of his animus magic. Anything he wrote would come true. The talisman prevented his soul from being corrupted, or at least it was supposed to. He then showed the talisman to Clearsight. He He was caught using his animus magic by Arctic, however Arctic remains unaware of the existence of the scroll itself. Arctic told Queen Vigilance, and Darkstalker was officially announced as the Nightwing tribe's first animus. Queen Vigilance reached out to the Sea Wings and requested their help in training her new animus. The Sea Wings sent over Fathom alongside Indigo and a team of guards. The night that Fathom arrived, Darkstalker persuaded him and his guard/girlfriend, Break Indigo, to go with him to a secluded tower. There he tried to convince Fathom that he did not need help, and instead Fathom needed help. He offered to enchant an earring for him that would take away bad memories. Indigo did not like this at all. Something about Darkstalker reminded her and Fathom of Albatross. She held a weapon to Darkstalker's throat and was about to kill him, believing that he would go insane, but Fathom talked her out of it. Darkstalker recognized Indigo as a serious threat despite her lack of magic and began making plans to dispose of her. After almost being killed by Indigo, Darkstalker used his magic to make himself invulnerable. He also created a soul reader in order to reassure Indigo, Fathom, and Clearsight that he was not going insane. Clearsight was named the Queen's top seer after predicting an Icewing invasion. Shortly after, Foeslayer was captured by the Icewings after a short lapse in her protection magic. Queen Diamond kept her prisoner and enchanted her to revive upon death so that she could keep killing her. Darkstalker imprisoned Indigo within a statue carved by Fathom, faking her disappearance and saying that she went back to the Sea Kingdom. This crushed Fathom. At a party, Darkstalker was almost killed by an assassin, but was saved by his enchantments. Clearsight realized that he needed to use his magic to save himself, and began to wonder what other spells he could be hiding. Clearsight realized the next day that she herself had been enchanted using an earring, not to see any bad futures. Furious, she went over to confront Darkstalker, only to find out that Arctic had escaped the kingdom with Whiteout, intending to bring her back to the Ice Kingdom to get married, and thus pardoning him of his crimes. Clearsight, Darkstalker, and Fathom tracked the two and brought them back to the Night Kingdom. Darkstalker forced Arctic to obey his commands and made him kill himself. Fathom was given Darkstalker's scroll and undid the enchantments on Indigo. Clearsight then ordered Listener, her friend, to help evacuate the Nightwings. She and Darkstalker reunited at Agate Mountain. She gave him a bracelet to put him to sleep and buried him in a cave. Then she flew away, using her visions to locate Pantala, the second continent. Meanwhile, Indigo and Fathom escaped to an island where they would have 3 children, Cowrie, Clearpool, and Ripple. Yes, Clearpool is named after Clearsight. Clearsight on Pantala would teach the Beetlewings and Leafwings the language of Pyria. She also took on several husbands and had many descendants, who would one day become the Highwing tribe. She left the Book of Clearsight, a document on all of her predictions, to guide her descendants. The Book of Clearsight does not give definite dates on when its events will take place based off of the Scorching, but instead gives the rulers to which the events will concern. It was written around the end of Clearsight's life, so it was likely written in 3110 or so, as her last known age was 105 years old. During the reigns of Queen Tawny and Magnolia, there was a drought. The drought was so bad that the largest lake on Pantala, Scorpion Lake, dried up. Clearsight warned them not to panic and to look for water in underground reservoirs. She also told them that when the water returned, there would be harsh lightning storms. The storms would catch the dry continent ablaze. However, the queens could do something to prepare by carving fire breaks into the landscape to prevent its spread. During the reign of Queen Zelkova, 2 twins would hatch in the royal palace. The twins could not be separated, lest a civil war occur in the future. Clearsight directed Queen Silverwatch to start creating nets to keep dragons from falling into the caves early into her rule, and to keep her sons away from the nets too. She then advises in general not to venture into the poison jungle for the next 500 years. She says that she has no clue on why this should be herself. I speculate that this could be a subconscious sort of thing. If the Pantalian dragons had explored it, then the Leafwings would have had a harder time hiding there later. But that's just a theory. For the first queen of the Highwings, she left a warning not to poke the Kraken. The Kraken would just get angry and possibly eat dragons. She told her to fish elsewhere and that it would move on. Her final note to her descendants was an ominous one, saying that she was concerned about the trees and thought they might be in danger, though she could not tell what from. Like the timing in the Book of Clearsight, the timeline for the Jerboas is rather undetermined. It is known to start during the time of Darkstalker, as Arctic commented on Jerboa 1 being an animus who we knew of. I'm gonna assume that Jerboa at the time was young, because she makes a lot of decisions I can only see young and foolish person making. I'm also going to assume that she ran away from Scorpion after Arctic made his comment, which would place the timeline of her running away as being around 3012 with her at 7 or 8 years old. Jerboa 1 ran away from her queen. Her queen forced her to do many enchantments, some of which she did not agree with. She wanted to have a dragonette of her own, but knew that she could not trust other dragonettes who she could have an egg with. So she found a mudwing egg and enchanted it to be a sandwing egg. She named the resulting dragonette Jerboa 2. Jerboa 2 eventually asked to be named Boa instead, which Jerboa agreed with. Jerboa began enchanting her daughter to take care of all the hard tasks and be agreeable. She would also grow bored with her and enchant her to be younger. Jerboa began to abduct dragons from different tribes to serve as their servants. It is implied that they were enchanted by her as well to obey her bidding. Something went wrong with Jerboa 2. Jerboa killed off her own daughter and replaced her with a new Jerboa 3. She enchanted Jerboa 3 as well, who she also called Boa. Boa found a scroll where Jerboa wrote down all the enchantments that Jerboa did to her. She knew that she had to be clever about how she responded so that her mother did not figure out that she knew and reset her again. First, she asked for a shell necklace that would always bring her back to her mother. Then, around 1100 years of them living together, which would be around 4212 on the timeline, assuming that Jerboa 2 only existed for a century, Jerboa 3 asked for a second enchanted item, porcupine quills which when pointed at prey would freeze it. Seeing it as an innocent request, Jerboa granted it. Boa now had all the items she needed to fulfill her plan. The next day, she trapped her mother using the porcupine quills, and began demanding her to answer to what she had done to her for all these years. She confronted her with information in the scroll and made herself an animus as well using the scroll. Jerboa was freezing over all the while, and was nearly frozen solid. With her last words, she made it so that whenever Boa used animus magic, she would lose a piece of herself, such as her talons and tail barb, and eventually her limbs. Boa decided to live her own life apart from her mother, and at some point became entangled within the Icewing royalty, and began to answer to them. Sometime between Jerboa 1 leaving the royal court and 100 years ago, her Eye of Onyx chose a commoner to be queen over royalty, creating a line in which Oasis and her 3 daughters and 3 sons were apart. Sometime between the events of Darkstalker and the First Arc, the Mudwing Secession crisis occurred. According to Darkstalker, it happened a few centuries before the modern day, so it's around 4600 to 4800. The queen of the Mudwings, Queen Egret, was a rash dragon. One day her unwise decisions caught up to her and she died. She had no dragonettes and her siblings were unwilling to rule in her stead, though they did their best to keep the kingdom afloat. Olive, a commoner, waltzed into the palace and secretly proposed a plan to Sawgrass, the temporary king. She had 6 eggs due to hatch soon. They could lie and say the 2 of them had them together. And so they did. Olive took over as queen and stepped away from the throne to give the crown to her children. She later died of old age. Sawgrass later exposed the truth behind the deception, not that anyone cared at that point. 50 years before the start of canon, the Tree Wars began. Queen Wasp claimed that the Book of Clearsight said that the Silkwings and Leaflings should submit to the Hivewings. Queen Monarch accepted her word immediately. However, Queen Sequoia demanded to see the book herself, even though only descendants of Clearsight were permitted to read it. Queen Ross refused her request, and they had a peace talk to try and figure it out. At the talk, Hawthorne, a Leafwing, infected Queen Wasp with the Breath of Evil, a plant that he believed would allow him to control her mind. However, the Breath of Evil instead chose to align itself with Wasp, and not give her over to Hawthorne's command. The peace talks fully broke down as soon as the poisoning happened, and the Tree Wars fully begun. The Leaflings had little chance of winning, as before the war, Wasp was already cutting down the trees. The Leaflings lost the war and retreated to the poison jungle. The Hivewings eliminated all the trees on the plains and banned using its symbols. The Leaflings in the poison jungle divided into 2 factions. One, the Saplings, followed Sequoia, and wanted to heal their tribe before making any new moves. They believed that the survival of the tribe was more important than getting revenge. The other, the Poisonwings, led by Linden, wanted to continue the war no matter the cost. The Poisonwings began to create a selective breeding program for stronger Leafspeak. When Linden passed away, her daughter, Belladonna, took over as the leader of the Poisonwings. Wasp gained access to the existing Breath of Evil hive mind and began to indoctrinate new Hivewings into it by injecting eggs with the Breath of Evil, building a mind-controlled army of dragons for her to use. 110 years before the start of the series, Tapir, the oldest dragon in Wings of Fire with a confirmed age, was hatched in a Rain Kingdom. Around 40 years before the start of the books, Blister, the second daughter of Oasis, hatched. Oasis decided that she did not want so many dragons vying for her throne and killed one of her sisters to even out the number of potential challengers. She would kill another sister when Blaze hatched years later. Shortly after Blaze's hatching, Scarlet had a wedding to Canyon. At that wedding, she challenged her mother, Queen Firestorm, and won, making her the Queen of the Skywings and a newlywed. Double the gifts! Blister and Burn attempted to kill Blaze by putting her favorite tiara outside the palace as a sandstorm was closing in. Six Claws and Dune were able to rescue the young princess, and King Char invited them to join the army because of their bravery. The Sandwing Palace was then hit by a plague which killed a few dragons, including King Char. In 4992, Palm, the girlfriend of Princess Smolder, In 4992, Palm, the girlfriend of Prince Smolder, ran away from the stronghold with her egg after plans to run away with Smolder failed. She hid at her sister, Palm's, oasis, but the soldiers of the Sand Kingdom were hot on her trail. They mistook Prickle as Palm and took her captive. Palm left her sister to be taken back to the stronghold. She felt as though they would realize their mistake soon enough and release Prickle. She decided to run away to the Claws of the Clouds Mountains to get as far away from the Sand Kingdom as possible. A few nights later, three scavengers, Heath, Rose, and Stone, broke into the Sandwing Palace in hopes of stealing treasure. Queen Oasis decided to chase after scavengers and told Blister to grab Burn as backup. She was then killed by Stone, one of the scavengers. Rose, one of the other scavengers, was left behind and assumed dead by the scavengers as they fled from the palace. Heath decided to claim credit for killing Oasis and took up the title of Dragon Slayer. Upon finding her mother dead, Burn immediately set out parties to track the scavengers and burn their villages down. Meanwhile, Blister stole treasure from the treasury. Rose, the scavenger that remained at the palace, was adopted by Prince Smolder, who was in mourning over his dead girlfriend and possible daughter. Prince Smolder was cheered up by her presence and started to research scavengers. The Sandwing sisters quickly realized that there would be no consensus on who should be queen. Blister allied with the Sea Wings and the Mud Wings after fleeing the palace. Burn allied with the Sky Wings and tried to get the Ice Wings as well, but learned that they had allied with Blaze. The majority of the Sand Kingdom also supported Blaze despite the kingdom itself being under Burn's control. The first battle in the War of Sandwing Succession occurred in year 4994. In the year 4999, in the scavenger town of Talisman, a Dragonmancer's apprentice was sacrificed to the dragons. And in the year 5000, the volcanic island in which the Nightwings lived on began to experience eruptions. Part of their fortress was destroyed, and they lost a few of their Animus-touched objects, like the Dream Visitors, to the explosion. In the year 5001, Queen Battlewinner of the Nightwings and Morosir, a trusted advisor of hers, came to a conclusion that the Night Isle was a ticking time bomb that they needed to get away from. They decided to create a prophecy in which whoever won the throne would help them to invade and conquer the rainforest. In order to accomplish this plan, they reached out to the Talons of Peace, a growing peace movement, and tasked them with looking after the dragons from the prophecy, the Dragonette Prophecy. They also sent out their Animus Stone Mover to create two tunnels connecting the rainforest to the Sand Kingdom and the rainforest to the Night Kingdom in order to aid in moving troops during the eventual invasion of it. In the scavenger town of Valor, Ivy's mother led an effort to create a new tunnel, but Heath took the credit for it. While scouting, Queen Battlewinner was attacked by an Ice Wing. She had Frost Breath put down her throat and began to freeze from the inside out. She managed to get back to the Night Isle and jumped in lava, which counteracted the effects of the Frost Breath. She learned that she had to stay in the lava or else the ice would spread. She decided to use Greatness, her daughter, as a figurehead, and created a series of screens so that she could still observe and spy on her tribe. Quickstrike, an assassin, was sent to kill Commander Tempest of the Sea Wings in order to delay the end of the war. Deathbringer, her son and possible assassin, tagged along after outwitting his own assassins and killing one of them. On their way over, Quickstrike was struck and immobilized by lightning. Deathbringer had to watch his mother get captured and still had to figure out how to fulfill the mission. He did so by throwing a spear at Commander Tempest, which struck her, and when they recovered the spear, there was a note attached to it written by him, which framed the Mudwings for her death. The Mudwings left Blister's army. Deathbringer met up with Morosir and lied, saying that his mother was alive but too tired to meet back up with them. He was given the task to kill Six Claws, which he decided not to do and instead have some fun with it. Prince Singe was killed by Queen Burn for annoying her. Byrne began searching even more carefully for Blaze's fortress, and she reached out to the Mudwings for an alliance, which they accepted. Six Claws refused an order from Queen Byrne. She responded by removing the healing packs from his friends, Dunes, Frostbitten Wing, and Limbs, breaking it in a way that he could not heal as well. Six Claws finally felt his loyalty sway from that disgusting display of force. Deathbringer also talked to him from the shadows, telling him to leave. Six Claws did so, bringing Dune and Kindle with him. Orca, Princess of the Sea Wings, challenged her mother Queen Coral to the throne. It looked like she was going to win until Coral's narwhal spear attached to her tail managed to get her through her heart. Orca was secretly an animist and she created a statue which would kill all female heirs, which she placed in the hatchery. Her mother was none the wiser, and every time she was in the hatchery, she admired the statue that was secretly killing her daughters. Thorn of the Sandwings met Stone Mover, the Nightwing's animist, for the first time this year. In the year 5004, Scarlet created a eugenicist breeding program among the Skywings in order to create better warriors. Two of the dragons chosen were Chameleon, an animist, and Kestrel, her general. Kestrel did not know that Chameleon was a Rainwing and was under the impression that he was a Skywing named Soar. Kestrel had an egg with him with two twin dragons inside it. One was a fire skills, born with too much fire. The other had too little. According to Skywing tradition, she was supposed to kill the one with too much fire, but she could not bear to. She tried to run away with both of them, but Scarlet confronted her and told her to throw one in the river and keep the other. She chose to sacrifice the one with too little fire, as she felt like the one with too little fire would just die soon anyways, and keep the one with too much fire. As she flew away with the one with too much fire, she was burned by her fire scales and had to drop her. Scarlet caught the dragon with too much fire and aimed her peril. She took her back to the Sky Palace, intending to use her as a weapon. Meanwhile, at the age of 7, a scavenger named Wren lived in a village known as Talisman, which was led by the Dragonmancers. The Dragonmancers used rituals and sacrifices to quote-unquote communicate with the dragons. Wren was chosen as a sacrifice because she had a bad temper and was left on a rock near a river. Wren proceeded to liberate herself from her bindings and began to walk the river. She found a baby dragonette in the river. She felt as though the dragon had been abandoned just like her and took it in. She decided to name the baby dragon Sky. Unbeknownst to her, the dragon had been abandoned by Kestrel just hours earlier. Kestrel tried to return and search for her dragonette, however she could not find Sky. Stone Mover and Thorn had an egg together, unbeknownst to Stone Mover, who had run away to Jade Mountain. Stone Mover feared that his magic was affecting him, and hence he decided to become a hermit so no one would become harmed by him. He enchanted himself so that instead of affecting his soul, his magic would affect his scales instead and turn them to stone. Heath, the Dragon Slayer, banished Pine, a dragon watcher, from his town of Valor, for going back to the old village. His daughter, Ivy, joined a group called the Truth Seekers to decide to figure out what was happening with the old village and her father. Daffodil and Violet, two best friends around Ivy's age, were the founders of the Truth Seekers. In the year 5005, the Talons of Peace began to assemble eggs in order to fulfill the Dragonette prophecy. Asha, a Mudwing, bought a blood red egg from her sister, Cattail. However, on her way back to the cave with the egg, she tried to stop a battle between the Icewings and the Mudwings. She failed and was injured. She delivered the egg to the cave and then died of her injuries. Hiviter, an Icewing, was sent on an obvious suicide mission to grab a Skywing egg. He was caught by Byrne and was pretty much tortured by her. Byrne disposed of the egg and then of Hiviter. She also alerted Scarlet to the presence of the Talons of Peace. Scarlet did not want the war to end, so she decided to stop the prophecy at its source by killing all the eggs which could fit into the timeline of the prophecy. She did so by using Peril, the fire-skilled dragonette, officially announcing her presence to the court at the same time. One dragon egg did manage to escape, and to this day, its whereabouts are unknown. In the Sea Kingdom, a disillusioned soldier named Webbs became a deserter. He stumbled upon the Talons of Peace, and they asked him to steal an egg for them. He stole an egg from the royal hatchery for them. Moralseer chose the egg of Mastermind and Farsight to be the Nightwing in the prophecy, hoping that he would get the intelligence of his father. Fierce Teeth, a young Nightwing and the half-sister of the egg, wished it was her, and volunteered to be a backup. This gave Moralseer the idea of having a backup group of dragonettes, which he would use later. Dune stole Thorn's egg and went to the Talons of Peace with it, believing that it could be the Sandwing egg in the prophecy. Webbs learned that the Skywing egg was crushed. In a last-ditch effort to fulfill the prophecy, he stole an egg from the Rainwings. The brightest night happened. If the eggs had hatched under moonlight like the trailer for the book shows, both Starflight and Sunny would have been some of the most powerful mind readers and seers ever. However, they didn't, as they hatched in the darkness of the cave. In the village of Talisman, Rowan and Leaf began to train to become dragon slayers. In the year 5008, Secret Keeper, a Nightwing, did not want her daughter to grow up on the island. She hid her egg away in the rainforest where moonlight could reach it, unintentionally hatching the first true seer and mind reader in generations. She was named Moonwatcher. Sundew and Willow, two Leafwings from opposing groups, met for the first time. They decide to meet again in the future. 1 year later, King Gil of the Sea Wings tasked Turtle, a secret animus son of his, with finding a replacement guard for the hatchery after a guard fell ill. Turtle was unable to find the guard, and the ill dragon died. 2 eggs also died. Turtle was blamed for the eggs' death by his brothers until he made an enchantment to make them stop hating him. Hailstorm of the Ice Wings took his younger brother Winter on a scavenger hunt on Skywing Land. Hailstorm was taken prisoner. Chameleon Scarlet's animus used a spell to make him into a different dragon, Pyrite. Thorn commissioned Cobra to look for Stone Mover, Dune, and Morosier. While at Cobra's house, she observed her mistreating a dragonette of hers, Keebly, and purchased him from her for adoption. As Queen Coral was occupied with making sure none of her daughters died, Gil took over her wartime duties. He was captured by the Skywings and sent to the arena. Leaf became the apprentice to one of the Dragon Managers and began to spy on them. Violet, Daffodil, and Ivy became Wing Watchers, scavengers who watched dragons. Wren made her first visit to the Indestructible City, where she met their prince, Undauntable. In the year 5011, Turtle, a secret Sea-Wing animus, wanted to remain secret. So, at the Talons of Power ceremony, he enchanted his little sister, Anemone, to have animus powers. Anemone began getting trained by Whirlpool in order to control her animus magic. The scavenger Ivy received a marriage proposal from Undauntable, which she turned down. Morosier checked in on the progress of the Dragonettes of Destiny. He was displeased by them and ordered the killing of their Rainwing, Glory. The Dragonettes of Destiny escaped, but were taken prisoner by Queen Scarlet and made to fight in the arena. Meanwhile, the scavenger Leaf was also in the Sky Palace. He and a party of his friends were forced to go there after Mushroom was taken by the dragons. In Talisman, Ivy found out that she had an aunt named Rose, and that the reason why dragons were also angry all the time was because their treasure was stolen by her father and Stone. She decided to give their treasure back somehow. Clay, the Mudwing of the Dragonettes, befriended Peril. The Nightwings kidnapped Starflight so that he wouldn't have to fight in the arena. Tsunami killed Gil, who, unbeknownst to her, was her father. A mock trial was held for Kestrel. Glory learned that she had acid spit and used it to try and kill Burn, but Burn used Scarlet as a dragon shield and Scarlet got half of her face melted off. The Dragonettes escaped in the confusion, as did Peril, who decided to travel and find herself, and Kestrel. The Sky Kingdom was left in confusion, and 2 parties formed, one who believed that Scarlet was alive, and the other who supported Queen Ruby's claim to the throne. Also, Leaf and his scavenger friends escaped the Skywings if anyone cares about them. The Nightwings gave Starflight back. The Dragonettes then went to the Summer Palace. Tsunami uncovered a plot to kill some of the Dragonettes by Commander Shark. She was also the first to become aware that the mysterious killer of Sea-Wing eggs was an enchanted statue. She and the Dragonettes were imprisoned. Thanks to an enchantment by an enemy, it was revealed that Whirlpool was behind an attempt to kill Tsunami. Whirlpool was killed via electric eels, and the Summer Palace was bombed by the Skywings. The Dragonettes went to the rainforest. Glory discovered that some Rainwings had gone missing and began to investigate. She found a tunnel leading to the desert, and through that, was able to find Blaze and also encounter an assassin trying to kill them, Deathbringer. Glory got herself captured by the Nightwings and escaped alongside Kinkajou, a young Rainwing who was being experimented on because of her venom. Disgusted by the lack of action by the Rainwing Queens, she challenged them all to the throne and won, becoming the sole queen of the Rainwings. Starflight then got captured by the Nightwings. On the islands, he met the other Nightwing Dragonettes and also the false Dragonettes to Destiny, Morosier's backup plan. Things went awry when one of them died and another one was injured. Using the injured one as a cover, he and Fate Speaker, the false Nightwing Dragonette, escaped and told the Rainwings that the Nightwings planned to attack them. The Rainwings mounted a counterattack, but then the volcano erupted in the middle of it. During the explosion, Morrowseer revealed that the prophecy was fake and then promptly died. Starflight was blinded in the explosion. Sunny was kidnapped in the wake of it by Fierce Teeth, Strongwings, and Prey Hunter, who believed that they could use her as a bargaining chip to join one of the Queen's courts. Sunny escaped and followed them to the Scorpion Den, where she reunited with her crime lord mother, Thorn. She was captured by a dragon and taken to Byrne's stronghold. The Outclaws then attacked the stronghold. Peril was there as well, and she freed Scarlet because Scarlet wouldn't stop Skyping her, aka invading her dreams using animus magic. Meanwhile, running concurrently, the Skywing Dragonet was captured by the Sandwings and taken to the stronghold as an oddity. Ren convinced Deathbringer to give her a ride to the stronghold. Leaf found Valor and met Ivy. Ren then saved Sky. The Wing Watchers started to be arrested, so Ivy, Leaf, and the rest of the Wing Watchers left. Ivy, Leaf, and Stone went to the Desert Palace to try and rescue Rose. In the confusion of the Outclaws raid, they slipped in. They found Rose and tried to flee. Leaf failed, but Ren and Sky were still escaping and found him. Ren, Sky, Stone, Leaf, and Ivy all returned to Valor. There they exposed Heath as a liar. Then they went to Talisman and exposed the Dragonmancers as liars too. The king of the Invincible City learned of Ivy's existence and decided that he must find her and control her so that he can rule the world. Sunny decided to fulfill the prophecy and told the three sisters to meet up at the stronghold. They did so. Blister used trickery to kill Byrne and was set to kill Blaze. However, in the nick of time, Sunny recovered the Eye of Onyx, which told who would become queen and gave it to Thorn. In a rage, Blister tried to snatch it from Thorn. However, she was electrocuted to death by the Eye of Onyx. Thorn became queen and Blaze became the one who bowed to a power that was higher in the prophecy. The war was finally over. Meanwhile, a comet moved over the planet. Pieces of it fell to the planet. One piece of it struck and killed Palm. Another landed in the ocean and was recovered by Turtle. These pieces of rock became known as Skyfire, and they make it so that one's mind cannot be read by mind readers. The comet also caused earthquakes. The earthquakes were so severe that it caused a bracelet on Darkstalker to snap, ending his 2,000-year-long slumber. A few months after the end of the war, the Dragonets of Destiny decided to create Jade Mountain Academy, a place for Dragonets to learn basic knowledge and about friendship. Some of the dragons invited included Turtle, the Secret Animus, Moonwatcher, the first Nightwing Seer Millennia, and at least 20 child soldiers. Within the first 2 days, trouble reared its head when a bomb was set up in the History Cave, killing 2 dragons and injuring several others. Moon's future sight and mind reading were discovered from this incident. She and Keebly decided to find who the killer was and discovered that someone was sharing dreams with Queen Scarlet. Queen Scarlet wanted the one receiving the dreams to kill the Dragonets of Destiny. When Stalagmite dropped on Icicle, Moon discovered 2 things. One, Icicle was the one talking to Scarlet, and she hoped that Scarlet would give her brother, Hailstorm, back if she killed the DoD. Second, Sora had been trying to kill Icicle out of revenge, because Icicle killed her sister, Crane. Everyone who died in incidents were collateral damage. Icicle tried to kill Starflight but failed and escaped. Sora escaped and took along her brother, Umber. Through their mutual mind reading, Moonwatcher and Darkstalker got in contact. Moonwatcher promised to find Darkstalker's talisman and release his animus magic. Moon also got a prophecy about Jade Mountain. Most of the Jade Winglet went to the rainforest to try and find Icicle. However, they discovered that she had killed a Nightwing and was driving herself mad with pain in order to escape dreams from Queen Scarlet. They found Scarlet and Chameleon, her animus dragon. Chameleon injured Kingaju, and it was revealed that Pyrite, a dragon who they encountered who they thought nothing of, was Hailstorm under a spell all along. Winter and Hailstorm returned to the Ice Kingdom. Winter was put in first place of the rankings, and Hailstorm was put in the last place. The only way for Hailstorm to regain his honor before becoming an adult was to challenge Winter to the Diamond Trials. Winter's parents told Hailstorm to kill him during the trial, but Hailstorm backed down. Winter agreed to pretend to be dead. They also found Foeslayer just chilling there. Winter freed her and took her back to civilization in hopes that she would help him solve Moon's prophecy. Meanwhile, Peril and Turtle left Jade Mountain to go and track down Scarlet. After almost killing Winter and running off, Peril found her father, who turned out to be Chameleon pretending to be a Skywing. Peril accepted his offer of getting rid of her fire skills in exchange for helping Scarlet. Scarlet, Peril, and Chameleon all ousted Ruby. However, Pearl realized that she was being controlled and removed Chameleon's enchantment. She then supported Ruby, who challenged Scarlet to the throne and won. However, it was revealed that Ruby was a fake dragon and was just a mask for Tourmaline, a princess who disappeared. Tourmaline decided to keep living as Ruby, in order to not confuse dragons. Chameleon flew away to go scam another dragon, but the Jade Winglet tracked him down. They discovered the source of his magic was Darkstalker's talisman. The Jade Winglet argued over what to do with it until Peril burned it, destroying the scroll and giving its animus magic back to Darkstalker. Darkstalker emerged from the mountain. Turtle instantly used the spell to hide himself from him. Darkstalker next tasked an enchantment that everyone would like him. He took an enemy under his wing and they went to the rainforest. There he took control of the Nightwing tribe and brought them back to the Old Kingdom. Then he possibly enchanted an enemy to kill her mother. Turtle stopped that by using his animus magic against her. Darkstalker figured out that an animus fight was happening and summoned all animus dragons Imperia to him. Turtle gave his stick of invisibility to an enemy and became Darkstalker's prisoner. Back at Jade Mountain, Keebly had a magic earring that made him immune to animus magic thanks to Turtle. He realized that Darkstalker had used a spell to charm everyone, and decided to make copies of it for everyone else. He then learned that Ostrich had gone missing. He tracked her to the Talons of Power. Turns out, his evil grandfather had been creating a terrorist organization with the aims of installing Onyx as queen. Keebly escaped from the Talons of Power, his grandfather's organization, and went to warn Thorn and get earrings to the Ice Kingdom, who were suffering from a plague. However, it was too late for them both. The Ice Wings were already dying from a mysterious plague sent by Darkstalker, and the Talons arrived at the palace very soon after he did. Onyx challenged Thorn to the throne. Fearing that Thorn would lose, Keebly used animus magic that he had been given to summon a sandstorm. The Talons lost, and Keebly and Winter went to the Lost Kingdom at night. There, Keebly discovered that Darkstalker had been doing not-so-nice things, like enchanting his second-in-command to be his dead girlfriend multiple times. The Ice Wings declared war on Darkstalker because of that not-so-nice thing they did to them by killing their queen through the plague. The Ice Wings, now led by Queen Snowfall, went to Jade Mountain to demand where Darkstalker was. The Nightwings arrived and a battle commenced. Turtle made both sides quite literally see each other's perspectives via animus magic and then sent them home, besides for Darkstalker. Darkstalker kidnapped Keebly and offered him unlimited power. Keebly rejected that. Then Foe Slayer, Darkstalker's mother, arrived and told him that if he wanted to, he could have a fresh start as her dragonette. He rejected that, but thanks to a loophole, they were able to make the enchantment work anyways, and Darkstalker became the useless dragonette Peacemaker. Winter left Jade Mountain Academy and helped to found a town named Sanctuary. Turtle finally received recognition from his mother, and Keebly assisted on cleaning up the palace. Meanwhile, in Pantala, another group of dragons were not having a fun time. Luna, a Flamesilk, crystallized and was sent to the Flamesilk Cavern. Blue, Luna's brother and future Flamesilk, Cricket, a Hivewing immune to mind control, and Swordtail, Luna's boyfriend, tracked her down. They invaded the hive that she was being hosted at, only to find Leafwings, a tribe that they thought were dead, chilling in the Queen's greenhouse. The Leafwings said that if they got the Book of Clearsight, they could help rescue Luna. They were able to find the Book of Clearsight and learned that Queen Wasp was lying about what it said. Blue got captured, but he and Luna were later rescued. During a harsh storm, Luna was taken on a ride to Pyria. There she was looked after by Jerboa III until Keebly and Moon followed some visions and found her. The Pantala crew joined the Chrysalis, a Silkwing resistance movement. They were mostly useless. The Pantala crew learned that Queen Wasp was injecting eggs with something. Cricket found an abandoned egg which only had one injection instead of regular 2 and decided to rename the resulting hatchling Bumblebee and took Bumblebee under her wing. They discovered that the source of Wasp's powers were some vines. They decided to burn the greenhouse that the vines were growing in to the ground. The Leafwings decided to burn down Bloodworm Hive, the cruelest of all the hives. The Pantala crew searched for the cure for the breath of evil in the wilderness. Hawthorne lied to them and gave them something called the Heart of Salvation, saying it was the cure, but it was actually the breath of evil in disguise. He tricked them into burning it, however he was killed by Willow. The majority of the Leafwings became infected by the breath of evil. The Silkwings and Leafwings not infected decided to follow the map left by Clearsight to Pyria. The Pantalian tribes arrived on Pyria and received a cold welcome from Queen Snowfall of the Ice Wings. Snowfall began to receive visions of other dragons' perspectives, including those on Pantala thanks to the gift of vision made by Opal. Those visions helped her to be less of an asshole. Snowfall also destroyed the Great Ice Cliff and other Icewing enchanted objects. The Queens of Pyria agreed to send aid to Pantala in the form of a stealth team, with one dragon from each tribe plus a random scavenger. The stealth team was ambushed on their way over to Pantala and split apart. One half was captured, the other half went into the tunnels below Pantala. They discovered that the scavengers there knew about the Other Mind and were afraid of it. Luna and a dragonette named Dusky fell into the Other Mind pit and made a mental connection. They found out that it was a composite of 3 or 4 beings. The plant, Cottonmouth, Wasp, and a dragon named Lizard. They discovered the backstory of the Other Mind. Lizard was salty that she never got to live a full life. However, Luna gave her memories and also memories of her friends' lives. Lizard decided that she would be okay with giving up her life in order to preserve theirs. Luna helped her choose a new name, Freedom. Then she killed Freedom and the Other Mind. Post-canon, the Pantalian dragons and the rest of the world were now free from the Other Mind. The Silkwings decided to create their own form of government, and teamed up with the Leafwings to make the parliamentary government called the Leaf-Silk Alliance. The Hivewings also obviously ousted Queen Wasp, and they currently have Queen Jewel as their new ruler. Meanwhile, in Pyria, Fierceteeth and a group of Nightwings decide to keep living in the old Night Kingdom, even without King Darkstalker around. They began to restore the palace, create edible gardens, and return to a nocturnal lifestyle. Fierceteeth and Bigwings were also expecting eggs, who would be some of the first Nightwings to be hatched under clear skies without being choked by smoke. Okay, that is the entire Wings of Fire timeline as of 5/22/2024. I have no clue when this video is actually going to come out. I'm trying for Friday, but you know, that's wishful thinking considering I'm graduating this week. I really hope that we're going to get to see other things from this universe in the future, and I'm just excited to see where it goes. If you like this video, please think about liking and subscribing. I regularly post both Wings of Fire and Warrior Cats content, and I know a lot of Wings of Fire fans also like that. So you might as well subscribe. And if you are already subscribed, thank you so much for supporting me. I wouldn't have gone here without y'all. Peace, Rogan out.